Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Henry Parker Presents. And with me today, this evening, I got two distinguished guests. Brother Antwione Williams, welcome to the show.
Antwione Taylor.
Taylor, whoops. And Darnell McCarter.
There you go.
So,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you start here. Give us
Okay.
a little background about yourself.
All right, so I'm 27. Oh my God, I'm 27. 27. I am a hip hop artist. I go by the stage name Twan 9K.
Okay.
I also am the son of a convicted felon. My father served about 8 years in prison. Was given an actual sentence that was mandatory for 10 years. And I'm just kind of in a place where I want to talk about it a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm actually dropping my first musical project. My first musical project called Truth Lies in the Lyrics. It's going to be coming out January 24th. And it's going to be addressing just a lot that I've gone through in my life and a lot that I've seen.
Okay. Dad, take it away.
All right, my name is Darnell McCarter, and I served 8 years in prison, but I refused to allow them to imprison my mind. So by me staying aware, I got to get a great out of being in prison. I did programs in prison. I went to school. That's where I got my GED at. And my son, he was right by my side. He was 17 when I went to prison. And through that, he had to grow up to be a man alone. But I was always there on the phone, or he would come to see me, and he and I would go over what he was doing in his life. But with me being there, I saw a lot of things that needed to be changed. The way people were being treated was wrong, and in different areas. So I made up some proposals, and I took them to the superintendent. And one was that we have a NA meeting without any officer being in the room. And it took 3 weeks, and she went to the commissioner, and that was granted to me, where I ran an NA meeting with no officer in the room at all. And then I was invited, another thing happened. I went to a banquet for volunteer prison ministry speakers from the outside.
Okay.
I went to a banquet with them, and it was so beautiful, and I spoke, and I felt so good, and I also was able to teach people things that we had to do to build up our character, our integrity, to grow, not allow prison to take us away from the world. Because we're coming out one day, and we still need to have some type of integrity about our life.
Now, first question. Even though your body was in prison, what process did you go through to keep your mind from being imprisoned?
Well, I'm a very spiritual person. Spirituality really helped me get through, and that's being honest. And with the drive that I had, I knew I was in prison, and that's not where I wanted to be, and I needed to be able to do something about being there to learn more how I wouldn't come back.
Now, how did that affect you with your dad in prison? You pretty much had to bring yourself up, or?
So, when my dad, the first time my dad went to prison, originally I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
My dad, the court case kind of went throughout my, I guess you would say, the most important years when you're growing into a man. Heading towards my senior year, the summer before is when my dad actually went to prison. So for me, it really took a lot away from me. Didn't have my dad there for prom, didn't have my dad there to see me graduate high school, didn't have my dad there to really give me those conversations on a day-to-day basis, like learning about finances, being prepared for college.
Now, how often did you go up to visit him?
I tried to go at least once or twice a month. For someone, when you're in high school, you don't have a car.
Right.
Well, when you come from the urban, the city, you really don't have the means to get to Framingham. And so I actually lived on Mass Ave. It was really hard. So once or twice a month, if I could, whether it's commuter rail or get somebody else to bring me out there, you know.
Now, how would you say that affected you spiritually?
Whew. Spiritually, I would say that it made me more in tune with God. It made me go closer to Him because I couldn't lean on my dad, so I had to lean on something. And so for me, I've grown up my whole life being in a church.
Okay.
That's really something that
What denomination?
Methodist.
Okay.
And so I've always gone. That's right.
Oh,
See, I don't care. I'm on an interview. I'm gonna keep it real. I still lean on my dad to this day. But right. But I've always grown up in a church, and I've always every Sunday, I've been in there. Whether I got dragged out of bed or not,
Okay,
we were in there.
What made you gravitate toward the Methodist denomination?
because the church that I go to, it is for all people.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It doesn't matter. You will be shown love there, and that's what I got. That's what my family got when we
Okay.
walked across the threshold. And we joined in 2000.
Okay. The same church?
Same church.
That's wonderful.
And even when I went to prison, I went before the church and told them what I had done and asked for forgiveness from them. They gave it to me, and someone from that church was at prison every month. I was in there all 8 years.
Wow. That's I would say unheard of.
They did it.
You'd be surprised.
Now, after you got out, right? You decided you become a prison activist.
Yes.
Okay. What was the first thing you did?
The first thing I did when I got out, I went to my church and went to the pastor and told him that we need to have a prison ministry
Okay.
because I felt that that would be something important for me to do
Okay.
by being in prison. And the next thing I do, I go to college right now,
Okay. What college?
Master-
Quick shout out.
Master Sawyer,
Okay.
Stairway to Recovery. I'm becoming a recovery coach.
Okay.
And I deal with people out of prison, people on the street, all types of addicts every day because I was one myself. I was an addict for 26 years of my life, but I've been clean for 33.
Okay.
And I promised the Father upstairs that I would do the best I could when I came out to help change some of these things that are being done wrong to people, just people. And I'm doing it.
Now, we're going to change lanes a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think about, what's your take on, I would call it, the criminal injustice system?
Dad,
For a
you
better word.
can go on this. You can go first on this one.
I think that it's going to change because we have a lot of people out there that's interested now. Years ago, no one said anything if you got time and they knew that you were innocent. Nobody helped you. But today it's much different, and even the government officials, they see because they're being people are coming down on them hard because of it. So it's going to change. We just have to stick as a unit of people to change it.
No,
Absolutely.
same thing.
Yeah.
You could see what was happening to your dad legally.
Mm-hmm.
How did that affect you? I mean, is there anything you could do on the outside?
Outside, no. Actually, when my dad went to prison, it made me feel helpless. You could write letters. We tried to write letters to the governor, but it's so slow. Even when you're trying to appeal a case, everything moves so slow. Criminal justice system is prehistoric. Everything is slow. To even get another appeal, it's almost like, I think the one thing we see with a lot of inmates that are incarcerated, they're like, I might as well do the time because appealing it, I'm still going to get out around the same time. So,
Is that bad?
yeah, it's that bad.
It happened to me. I appealed, but the appeal didn't come through until I was ready to go.
That's, wow.
I was ready to
Wow.
go.
And that's 8 years.
My church wrote letters. A lot of people that I know where I work, because I'm a chef, they wrote letters. My son wrote letters, and nothing happened.
Now, what do you think is their reason for their inactivity as such? Because it's like you got all the support and
Well, I
nothing
think
happens.
I think one, they make more money when there's
big business.
Yeah, it's a huge business. So at the end of the day, they don't want to sever, a bloodline. There's a lot of money comes from inmates being incarcerated, but these are lives that we're talking about. These are, you don't just affect the inmate, you're affecting the family of the inmate, right? So like, my dad went to prison, my mom was affected, my sister was affected, I was affected, which could alter the course of my dad's grandchildren, right? Which can go on and go on and go on. You're altering the future of people's lives by having this prehistoric criminal justice system.
But in the words of Michael Jackson, they don't care about us.
At all.
Very true. Very true.
Now let's fast forward to, as my instructor used to say, what about now? Tell me, give us, update us.
On what's happening now?
Yes.
Well, right now, like I say, I'm going to school, and I'm in a program called Stairway to Recovery, where I have a say, have a little bit of say, and I can help people because I have some connections now through Stairway to help people to get out of prison if they go, or if they've been in there and they were wrongly treated, even to bring it up, to let the next man know what happened. Maybe it'll save him. Who
Right.
knows? Stairway to Recovery is a wonderful program. They pay for my schooling.
Oh,
It doesn't cost me a dime. And the education that I'm getting will cost like $12,000. And also,
Just for the one certificate that Pops
Yeah,
is getting.
one
Would have
certificate.
been $12,000.
Wow.
So
I graduate in March, and I've already been offered 6 jobs.
That's incredible.
Yeah, because I work at it. You got to have it in your heart. It's got to be in your soul. It's got to be what you really know and want can be done. We just got to work at it.
the one thing I know to be true is every time I've gone to see my dad, when he was in prison, that was the one thing that always came up was prison ministry. And I could tell you from the first maybe 3 years, my dad really felt like my dad was incarcerated. And then it was like, I don't know if it was a switch or a light, but it was something changed. And then after that, my dad became more, it was a glow,
Okay.
like a direction was given. And I don't know if it came from God or where, but ever since then, my dad, this is
Now,
nonstop.
How has prison ministry impacted, as with your father being a minister, impacted your life?
I think my dad being a minister, especially speaking of prison ministry,
Or just being a minister, period.
yeah, I think
It ain't
one
easy
of just
being a PK, preacher's kid.
the great thing is my dad's always allowed me to be,
Yeah.
whatever it is I wanted to be. For me, my dad being a prison minister, it doesn't really change me much. I grew up in a household where we went to church anyway. So spirituality was something that's always been in my life. But I don't really think that it's really changed me much as a man. Maybe it's groomed me a little bit more, helped
put
me
it
with
this
my
way.
values,
You-
but
you're exposed to a lot of different people and things that other people aren't.
that's true. You know what? Speaking of it from that perspective, you're right. It did allow me to hear a lot more stories,
Right.
a lot more inmates telling me about whether they were, falsely imprisoned or not. You can really get to hear their stories and their point of view and their perspective, on life and what's happened to them in the justice system. So I would say it's impacted me positive, in a very, very positive way. Because I'm hearing these stories, I'm able to go back and spread it to my neighborhood, to people that look like me and sound like me, or kids that look like me and sound like me. And, they may not hear it or receive it from somebody as old as my dad. but they'll receive it from me.
That was my next question. He answered because it's easier for them to really relate to you than him.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, we'll save that for another. another. So, you're a hip hop artist, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How does being a social activist impact your art?
I don't really know if you'd call me an activist. I'm just tagging along for the ride, really. But I would say that I've always been in a position where I express myself through music.
Okay.
My dad going to prison is a traumatic event.
Okay, obviously, yeah.
Right? And so for me, my therapy was my music,
Okay.
expressing myself through my music. And so I would say that it's probably made me a really great artist. It's given me something that I could focus in on, to take my anger and put it and express it in a positive way without having to rob or steal or hit somebody or knock, it's giving me a tunnel to just focus my energy and put it all through there.
Okay. Now, is there any particular artist that was your inspiration or is your inspiration?
I have multiple. Tupac, Jay-Z, T.I., Lil Wayne, Big L.
Okay.
I have multiple.
Now, would you say you just take bits and pieces of what they do or what they've got to say? Or
I think each one's taught me something different. So for me, I learned how to get into music through battle rapping.
Okay.
I had to learn to protect myself. And so Big L taught me how to be, I guess, vicious with my lyrics, protect myself, where you're going back and forth and you're in a battle rap. Jay-Z kind of taught me it's okay to be intelligent, be a businessman, provide for your family. Tupac taught me it's okay to do more than just rap. You can be an artist. This is something to express yourself. You can do poetry with this. You can teach others, give back. T.I. and Lil Wayne, they just made me want to work on different flows, different crafts. For me, I was born in Georgia, so I'm very, very
what part of Georgia?
Toccoa, Georgia.
Okay.
Very small town, right? Very southern. And so I still infuse a lot of my southern, but I can also be a lyricist. So they both just taught me how to use flows with being lyrical.
Any chance we can get a little sample?
The next time I come.
Okay.
We'll keep it just, I don't want to take away from what we're
right,
talking
yeah,
about
right,
and focus it on my art.
Okay. Now, Dad,
Yes.
if you have a message to give to the people, right, what would it be?
The message would be to hold on to who you are. Keep your faith no matter what happens. Life's not easy. There are going to be many hurdles. I know. But we can overcome them by putting in work, true work from the heart. So hold on and keep hope. It's my thing.
Ed, same question to you.
Reiterate that question. That was deep. That caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, oh my God, I might need that sample. I'm going to cut that off, put that on a song. Oh my goodness. What was the question again?
Okay. If you had a message to give to the people, what would it be?
Dang. You and me follow that up? I would say, oh man, keep faith and weather the storm. Stay true to who you are and know that if it's hard today, the hardships are only going to build you up for an easier path later on.
Good. Now, just out of curiosity, with the way the world is today, where do you see the criminal justice system going, considering prison is still big business? And let's face it, a black man's in a state of genocide.
It's hard being black. But the one thing I think that we have today that we didn't have before is the internet.
Okay.
Internet is bringing a spotlight and is exposing a lot of just criminal acts.
Okay.
The justice system itself is a criminal act. And so I think that it's going to get better. It has no choice but to get better.
Because I see that with all the attacks by the police, the film, but I see no real change, etc. But
I think that the first step, though, is at least there's attention drawn to it.
okay,
Because I think that the one thing, the misconception is people think that, oh, this just started, but it didn't. The internet is bringing that light, like
Right.
I said. And so I think the first thing is at least we're creating a conversation around it, and I think that will bring change eventually. It has no choice but to. But it starts somewhere, and it starts with a conversation, and then you can get in the right room, and then you can force change.
now, what can it be changed? Can it be changed from? No, Dad. Can the prison system be changed from the inside, or it has to be changed from the outside?
I say it has to be changed from both. Inside, it's changing. I know,
Can you give me an example?
because I made changes.
Okay.
Like I said, the program that I did, no prison in Massachusetts ever done it, where there was no officer involved. He couldn't even come in the room without a meeting going on.
Now, what was it when you approached them with that? What was their reaction?
What? You want no officer in? No, I don't. Because I want truth to fall. I'm trying to help these people, not camouflage. So if the officer's in there, it's going to be camouflage because we're not going to tell everything because he's in here. And that's how I got it. The superintendent, she went to the commissioner and she told him who I was and how I had been doing in prison. He granted it to me. And from there, many people changed. I had meetings of 40 people.
Wow.
People were coming from outside doing NA meetings. 16, 17 people were going. But I did it twice a week, and I had anywhere from 35, 40 people every time. Because they could tell the truth. And what goes on in that room stays in that room.
Can I just say something too? I think the reason why my dad was able to even get that accomplished is because he set a standard,
Okay.
right? It's not like he was in there fighting every day or causing mayhem. He set a standard, right? And I think that comes from him not being incarcerated, right? Mentally. And being able to present himself in a way where they can understand him and hear him.
Now, what percentage would you say of those inmates allow themselves to be mentally incarcerated, as opposed? Would you say you're the exception to the rule?
I am. I am. They would tell you, the superintendent said I was the exception to the rules. And basically, you know why? Because I'm spiritual.
Right.
Even though I committed a crime, it didn't take my spirituality away from me. Because I allow nothing to take that away. And through my homeboy, Jesus, that's what I call him,
Okay.
I didn't do anything.
That got me off
Absolutely.
guard.
Yeah, that's what I call him. Anybody that know me, he's my homeboy. I can do anything. And I know that because I can trust him. And the things that has happened in my life, I know he caused them. He caused them.
Now, with the different prison ministry programs that are in the penal system, how popular is that?
Well, it does. I would say that there are about maybe 2 or 3 that came where I was that was pretty powerful.
Okay.
Pretty powerful. I trusted them. So basically, when I trust somebody in there, everybody else trusts them too.
Now, how did the staff react to that? Because with the prisons being a revolving door, if you don't come back, they're getting laid off.
Well, for me, I got big respect. I never had any trouble with any officer in prison the whole time, whole 8 years I was there. Because I know something. You have to give respect in order to get it. And I wasn't afraid to say, did I do anything to you today? I wasn't afraid to say that. That would bring them back to who I am and who you are. Now let's respect each other.
Held him accountable as a human.
Yeah, and all this, I must say that. Prison wasn't, only thing bothered me about prison, I couldn't come over here. And being honest, but my last 3 years in prison, I was in pre-release. Had no business there. But this is what the superintendent and the commissioner granted me.
Now, pre-release, what process does that entail?
Oh boy. That entails that you don't get in trouble.
Okay.
You respect all the rules as best you can, and you work hard to get that. And once you go to the they give you a counselor, and they put you through what they call reentry.
Okay.
And once you go through reentry, everything looks good, feel good, they get you a job. Me, I'm a pastry chef. I worked at Paul's Bakery in Framingham.
Okay.
And I never had no problems there. I was able to go and come without no officers around. I could have did anything I wanted to, but I didn't. I stuck to the rules. I stuck to the rules. And the rule was no telephones. If I used a phone, it was the office phone.
Okay.
You couldn't go outside the perimeter. I never did. Just did what I had to do.
Now, after you got out, how much of an adjustment did you have to make?
Well, being honest, it was a big one, not to be in society. It was a big one for the telephone. It was a big one for me to use a computer. The telephone was the main thing. It wasn't for my son, I don't know what I would have done. Because telephone was flipped when I went in prison.
Yep.
I come out and it looked like a notebook. What is this? But that was the biggest thing for me. Getting a job, that wasn't hard if I wanted one, but I wanted to get an education in recovery because I saw so many people in there. I feel that all they needed was some kind of, when they come out of there, was to come to somebody with some training and could help them get their life on the right path where they could get a job. Because it's hard to get a job with a Corey. It's very hard. But I don't know, I just, like I say, I know my homeboy, and he just passed me through a whole lot of things that the average person just didn't go through. Because now I'm doing good in school. I'm getting ready. I already got jobs lined up.
Okay. So we're going to wind down. Where do you see yourself in another 5 years?
Retired and playing with my grandchildren.
Okay. Okay. Where do you see yourself in another 5 years?
Oh man, 5 years. You know, New Year's resolution just happened. So 5 years from now, I see myself having some kids, successful artist, couple #1 songs out. And I see myself retiring both of my parents.
Great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring it to a close and stay black.